So I think before I move on to some specific sector related questions, I also wanted, because I keep following you on Twitter and I do see you talk about policy a little bit. Do you believe that there is a lot more that the government can do in terms of, easing the way business is done? We talk about ease of doing business, but do you think there are certain areas where we need to work harder?
No, I think there are a lot of areas that you need to work harder. First of all, compliances must come down. I think Team Lee said there are some 60,000 compliances, right? I think because half of them are not complied anyway because nobody knows what they are, all right? They were very exhaustive. I think you should cut off 75%.
Right.
Cut off 75% because don't need that because most of them happen because there are piecemeal legislations. The government has now consolidated 44 labor law legislation to 4 code, which is very good. Like that, we require a lot of this legislation to be consolidated so that compliance comes down. Just now, DPIT said 6,000 compliance are going to be removed, blah, blah, blah. I think that's good news. That is one area. Second, we need more capital. You see, today, a large part of India is starved of capital. The MSME sector is starved of capital. Why? Because the big guys don't pay them on time. Even though there's a law that you have to pay within 30 days or 45 days, they don't comply, they don't pay on time. And I don't understand, the CFOs of the big companies believe that if you take credit from the small guys and don't pay them on time, it adds to your working capital. It's a very silly thing. Right. You're actually adding on more costs because the cost of capital of the small guys is much higher than your cost of capital. If you can borrow at 7%, 7.5%, the small guys borrow at 13, 14%. So you are taking credit from the small guys who are borrowing at 13, 14%. Instead of you can ask for a 1% discount and pay them off. I don't understand what the CFOs are doing. Right. Why take credit? I look at some of the balance sheet of the biggest FMCG companies. They all say we have negative working capital. They're very poor, very proud. What is negative working capital? Oh, we have creditors whom we are not paid, so we got cash in the balance sheet. That's very silly. Second thing is, they say, distributors, we take checks and we don't give them credit. That's fine. We can do that. And then we outsource manufacturing so they don't carry inventory. That's fine. All right. But there are contingent liabilities in the system. So I think the biggest issue for MSMEs is they don't get paid on time. Government does not give tax refunds. Mm-hmm. They think that, they got a God-given right to sit on everybody's money. And the third thing is banks don't give them money thinking they're risk. Of course, they're risk. You price into the risk. That's why the government's, 3 lakh crore guaranteed loan scheme, I think is fantastic because, that's really been a boon. Maybe the government should have another 10 lakh crore guaranteed loan scheme for all MSMEs to make sure they have adequate capital because we need the MSMEs to grow, to create more jobs and to really flourish. So I think we required that for business. We require more capital. Second is need the sector, semi-government to go borrow 20, 30-year money to bring in money. If you look at the banking sector in this country, deposits are of nearly 147 lakh crores. Lending is about 107 lakh crores. So deposits are about 75% of GDP. Lending is about 55% of GDP. And I think that's very low. China's bank lending is 250% of GDP. Our banking sector is too small for a country of India's size. And they require more money to come in, more capital. They're not able to lend because government also borrows money. So I would like our big companies to go borrow 25, 30-year loans in dollars at low rates of interest. And maybe government itself should borrow 500 billion over the next 5 years and put the entire money into long-term infrastructure. Because 20, 30-year money where you pay 2.5%, 3% in dollars per year is fine. Because by the time in this infrastructure comes up in 10 years, the benefits will come to the country. And today we have $580 billion of reserves and $545 billion of total foreign debt from what I see, including government and private. So we are surplus. Essentially, we have built up reserves to buy US government securities at 1%. Right? So we need more capital to come in. Yes, if it comes in, it could sit as reserves with the RBI, but that is something that we have to work through. But we need more capital to come. So there must be a surplus of money so that many MSMEs and others will get money. And then, mortgages should go up. Today, I think housing loans are coming at 6.75%. So more people can afford to buy houses, right? Sure. And mortgages are only, I think, about 10 or 12% of GDP. They must increase. So we need more capital. That's one. We need lesser compliances. That is two. And we need stability in policies, especially tax policies. For the last 7 years, 6-7 years, Government of India has given more and more powers to the taxman. They're given more and more powers. And what are the powers being used? They're not being used for a benefit. They're not being used to give better service. They've been used to oppress more people. Because,
True,
today we have a very, very bad assessment system. For example, the total amounts in dispute went up from 4.5 lakh crores in 2014 to 9 lakh crores in 2020. Finance Minister Jaitley promised us, the BJP promised us in the manifesto, they stopped tax terrorism. It did not stop because the number of cases in dispute has gone up. And most of them have happened in the last 3-4 years during the time when they said they're going to stop it, right? So it's not percolated. Right. These are data. This is data. Mm-hmm. That means whatever powers you're giving them, they're oppressing people more and more. And we elect our officials and the finance minister to protect us. But it appears that our ministers, many of them are protecting the tax collector, not the taxpayers.
That's true.
Talk is about protecting taxpayers, but you're not protecting tax collectors. The Kane case is another case. Retrospective amendment. You should not do retrospective amendment. And you are bringing in more and more oppression to hit bad people. Hit good people. Today, what is happening is government is unable to impose the rule of law on people who are tax evaders. They're using all these powers to go after people who are taxpayers. I've been paying tax for the last maybe 38-40 years. And almost every year, my tax return is picked up for scrutiny. For what? Because I get a refund. I pay more money, I get a refund. There are many people I talk to, they're being picked up for what reason? Again and again, facial assessment, you keep on getting notices. So I think tax is one big issue where they really, really have to improve service. Facial assessment works, but the other side, people have to be trained. They're not trained. Today, if a wrong assessment is done, you spend 2.5 years going in appeal with Commissioner of Appeals. They got a huge backlog. They're not able to service. They go to the tribunal another 3 years. Then you go to the High Court maybe 8 to 10 years. That is about 15 and 18 years. Then Supreme Court 2 to 3 years. It takes 15 to 20 years. And I know in a few cases after Supreme Court decision is not implemented. And nobody seems to ask why it is not implemented, why it is not followed up. In a ESOP case for Infosys, we had to go to the High Court to get a contempt order against the officer for not implementing the Supreme Court order. Can you believe that? Who is following up with the CBTD to make sure the Supreme Court orders are implemented? Government must be serious about rule of law and ensuring that justice is done to people. And the next point is the justice system. 3 crore cases in courts. It is broken. Mm-hmm. Can you run a country without proper justice? How can you give justice to people? We need 50 judges per million population. America is 100 as per the Law Commission. We got 18. And 35% of all the benches all across the courts are vacant because they're not been filled up. Who is responsible? We don't get justice. Today you assign a contract, somebody arranges a contract. What do? You can't go to court. It'll take 15-20 years. Everybody goes in appeal. Everything is in appeal. Court decisions are not given. For example, that famous case of that steel company, Bush and Steel Company. For 2 years, he's stuck up in the Supreme Court. 2 years. And by the company which has bid for happily sitting down and that company is throwing up cash. Now, what about the poor lenders? They're losing money. There's a time value of money.
Right, sir.
Now, what do you do? So I think reforming the justice system. These are the things. Reducing compliances, making sure India has more capital, reforming the tax system to stop harassment, and then reforming the justice system. These are the big ticket things that have to be done.
Understood. So that gives a great perspective. We appreciate you saying that, and probably we'll need to have another session with you to just understand some of these perspectives in greater granularity, because I think they pose a huge hurdle to the growth of our startup ecosystem. But while we're talking about, for example, MSMEs, there's another sector that needs a lot of focus, which is agriculture. And in the last year, we've seen at least some push happening on agri-tech. How do you see that sector going over the next couple of years or the longer term?
I'm happy you raised this topic. What is the biggest problem of farmers have? The biggest problem farmers have is connecting to market. Mm-hmm. Out of the total agriculture GDP, only about 45% is food grains, out of which maybe 10% is bought by the government.
Right.
Then you have fruits and vegetables. We are second largest producer of fruits and vegetables, 305 million tons. Largest producer of sugar, largest producer of milk, and the largest producer of spices, largest producer of cotton. All right. Now, in all of them, we need linkages to market. Fruits and vegetables, 30% wastage. We need linkage to market so that farmers get a larger part of the market price. In milk, because of the private sector and the milk unions, it has done a good job. So milk production, India is 205 million tons, the largest in the world. cotton, yes, there's the trade, and we are the Cotton Corporation of India that buys cotton and thinks that's a good job. And then we got spices. Yeah, spices are high value. There is a small problem, but that's okay. So we have to connect farmers to market, and that's where agri-tech startups come. From whatever data I know, there are 1,200 agri-tech startups. 250, 300 are funded. The balance are not funded. We have been talking about NABARD having a 5,000 crore fund of funds to invest in funds which fund startups. So together, maybe 20, 25,000 crore of money can come into agri-tech startup for the next 5-7 years. And what will happen? Right now, I think the agri-tech startups all over the country are buying maybe 2,000, 2,500 crores of fruits and vegetables and crops per month. Why can't you go up to 20,000 crores? Almost all of them are giving 15, 20% more to the farmers. They're training them to grade and sort using technology, and they're improving productivity, and then they're making sure they get payment within 48 hours. What more do you want? The government has brought in the farm laws to liberalize, and all these big rich farmers are sitting down and squatting. The middleman is squatting. That's fine, because they're in North India. In the South, we need this. So I would be nudging government, why don't you create a fund to invest in startups, give them more capital, get private funding, so that they can connect farmers to market and increase income and make sure that the consuming class gets a better product. Right. That's the biggest problem. Connecting farmers to market is the biggest problem. The farmer is a smart person. He doesn't require any more input. You're subsidizing water, subsidizing power, you're subsidizing fertilizer, subsidizing everything, interest, everything. 6 lakh crore is the subsidy. 6 lakh crores. Food subsidy is 2.5 lakh crores. About 1.5 lakh crores goes to farmers because they are among the poorest. Irrigation is 1 lakh crore. Power is 1 lakh crore. Fertilizer is 1 lakh crore. You add it up. That is 3 lakh crores plus 4.5 lakh crores. Interest is another 50,000 crores. Okay, that's 5 lakh crores. And then you have this Marega scheme where you are employing, the farm labor, landless labor, etc. That's another 1 lakh crores, 6 lakh crores. 6 lakh crore and GDP of 205 lakh crore, 3%. State and center giving them so much of money. But why didn't you connect the farmers to market? They'll get, put in some money for investment. That will get a big thing. Or FM has said 1 lakh crore for farm gate, but put in 5,000 crores into this fund. Because we must invest at the margin of the catalyst, which will dramatically increase value. So I think this is what we require. Right. India's got a very good agri-tech sector. A lot of companies are coming up. They're using technology, but they require funding.
Absolutely, sir. And, I think interesting point you raise about these fund of funds. We do hear about them in announcements and during the budget, etc. But, being controlled by government entities, do you feel that the funds are being deployed actively?
I Spirit and I worked to get the first fund of fund done. Prime Minister Modi agreed. He did the 10,000 crore fund of fund. The finance department, they commit, they don't release money. Then they ran in the backlog. Then they write letters to all the funds saying, tell us what is the cash balance, then only you'll invest. What kind of thing is this? Why doesn't the finance department give them money? I mean, it's 10,000 crore over 4 or 5 years, man. Government of India spends 22 lakh crores a year. Don't tell me they don't have this money. Don't tell me they don't have this money. It is so silly. I mean, we have a minister who supports everybody, prime minister supports, everybody supports, the finance ministry. I mean, are they God themselves? They don't give money. Can't you give 2,000 crores a year? Look at the growth that will come. They don't do that. So now they started this software product fund for METI, which is very good. But finance ministry has to give money. The Nippon India fund has come. We want some money from there. They'll give. Prime Minister announced that 1,000 crore seed fund. Hopefully, because Prime Minister announced, they'll give money. Because Prime Minister has a great memory, he'll make sure that they ask them what happened to that. So they are, they will comply. But I think our finance minister, our minister for commerce, they must insist this money comes. You cannot commit and not give money. And they don't understand how it works. In the first year they gave money, it is not exhausted because there's a process. It takes 6 months, 9 months for you to sanction and then for them to make a call. Then they said, we gave you money, surplus is that we'll not give you money for another 1-2 years. They put in the budget, they didn't give money. I mean, it's not the way to work because these are all small things. So I think, we need more fund of funds. For example, in the NDA manifesto, they announced 20,000 crores of seed funds. Where is it? 2 years are over. They're not given. So we need that to happen. See, let us understand one thing. We have a very large startup sector. 55,000 startups who created $170 billion of value, jobs for 1.2 million people. And by 2025, we'll have 100,000 startups creating jobs for 3.2 million people and creating 125 to 150 unicorns with $500 billion of value. We got about 43 unicorns now, maybe one more, today or tomorrow. But I think it's important for you to understand the massive growth is coming here. Put money here. Otherwise, it'll become a digital colony. Out of the 43 unicorns, 21 or 22 are domiciled outside. Out of the 160 unicorns, half of them are domiciled outside. What is the point of all this growth when foreigners come and own most of it? Not that we are against them, but Indian capital is not coming. But only the other day, they amended the trust laws to make sure the investment pattern, this Provident Fund others can invest into AIFs. That is a very good move. We've been asking that for 4 years. They finally did it. That's a good move. LIC hardly invest. They got a balance sheet of 40 lakh crore. They're not investing. They're not investing in the hottest growth sector in India, which is getting value. People like the Canadian Pension Fund, Ontario Pension Fund are putting $10 billion into India. And LIC say, oh, this is high risk. I mean, they take the currency risk and they take the risk. Our institutions, which are lazy institutions, they don't want to apply their mind and work there. I don't understand this mentality.
Right.
It's like, when IT service Infosys started, LIC did not invest. They hardly knew what it was. At least they must seek professional help. That's why we need fund of funds where they can put in money. We need government spot of fund where they can put in money. For example, that limit of 10% does not apply to government-sponsored fund of funds and funds, which is come in that new regulation, which is very good news. So I think we need a fresh approach. We need more Indian capital to come. But I'm optimistic after this gaming IPO Nazara. I think, Mumbai will understand. All the financiers in Mumbai will understand. The biggest returns are going to come in startups. So invest there. Hopefully they will invest more money.
I hope they take your advice, sir. So I think while we're talking about
well, if they don't take my advice, they're going to miss out on the biggest growth in India.
No, sir, absolutely. And I also hope that privatization helps some of these issues that you're raising about the government
privatization will help. Let me tell you give you some data, because people in this country don't go by data. They all worship Nehru in Delhi. Nehru made India poor. 1950, when we got our constitution, we are the best economy in Asia. China was destroyed in the Civil War. Japan was destroyed. Southeast Asia was destroyed. From 1950 to 1980, because of Nehru's policy of suppression of private capital and promotion of the public sector, nothing wrong in promoting public sector. He should have suppressed the private capital. We grew only 3.5%. Population grew at 2.5%. The world grew at 4.5%. The whole world. We became poorer in 1980 than we were in 1950 on a relative basis. 1950 to 1980, we grew at 5.5%. Population grew at 2.25%. 1991, we opened up. 1991 March till 2020 March, we have grown from 275 billion to 2.93 trillion, 8.5% a year in dollar terms. Population grew at 1.6%. So we have grown richer after opening up. What did we do in the Nehruan period? We grew poorer.
Right.
That is the history. Gandhiji said, this desh mein sarkar vyapari hai, us desh mein janta bhikari hai. Nehru made bhikaris of us. You must quote this and quote me. Nehru made bhikaris of us relative in the world. Only when you open up and give economic freedom to the people back. People must do business, not government. Government cannot do business. Look at BSNL, they ruined BSNL. MTNL, they ruined MTNL. Air India, they ruined Air India. They ruined it. They can't run it. They should not run it. That's why Prime Minister Modi, for the first time in our history, stood up in Parliament and says, I want to support the young people of India to grow in India and to build the new India. That's fantastic. I don't want government to be in business. That's fantastic. Government must not run in business. There must be in some strategic sectors to have a balance. That's fine. For example, in the oil sector, they must have Indian oil because, there are national security issues in oil. We are an importer. Barring that, defense, you should not do it. And that's very right. So I think this whole privatization, look at the banks, 15 lakh crores of NPS, out of which 11 lakh crores, I think, in the public sector. Why? Because phone banking happened, political leaders called up and give money, they gave money. When they lost money, whose money is that? Depositors' money, taxpayers' money. When the private sector lost money, government didn't support them. They went and raised capital. ICICI Bank wrote off, Axis Bank wrote off, they raised capital, they'll get money. Why should we taxpayers put money? Why should government subsidize? They took the risk and they have to pay the price, correct? Depositors will be protected. Look at this, what is happening. Why are we not making a hue and cry about this? Why are we not pointing out to all this, leftists in Delhi who keep writing public sector, that you're doing wrong. You cannot waste the poor people's money. Put the money into education, put the money into health, put the money into giving drinking water, put the money into roads. Why fund the banks? And they lost the money. Who is going to bear the 11 lakh crore loss? Look at the top 100 NPS. You make a list of the top 100 NPS. Tell me, would you have given money to Bhushan Steel? 80,000 crores between the two companies. Did any of the banks ask, where is 40,000 crore of equity? They never had equity. Many of these guys, Lanco, Bush and Steel, when I look at it, they never had equity. Where did they have equity? They over-invoiced, took the money out and brought it back. Everybody knew about it. Everybody knew about it. They gave money. Now that's what happens when you have the public sector under the control of the government. You understand? That's why we need privatization. We need more economic rights for citizens to take risk. We need more risk capital. And if they misfire, they get bankrupt, that's fine.
Absolutely, sir. Agree. I think government has no business being in business, and we hope.
Prime Minister Modi has done that, and he needs to be complimented. For the first time, there is great honesty when the government has said it's not our business. Look, what does government have to do? Government has to do 5 things in Delhi. Protect the boundaries of this country. They have to spend money on defense.
Right.
Have internal law and order. Is our life safe in India? We don't have enough police. Part of our police has become corrupt. They've been captured. Our life safe? There's a question mark. They're not investing enough. Deliver justice. Are we getting justice in this country? No. There's no judicial capacity. We're not able to get justice. 250,000 under trials are in prison after spending more than 50% of the time for which they could be sentenced. What do these poor people do? They don't have money for bail. They're not being let out. Where is justice for the poor of this country? Next is management of the currency, doing a good job. And then foreign affairs, doing a good job. But justice is not there. Internal law and order. Why don't you focus on that?
Absolutely. Sir.
And focus on schools, public goods, schools and along with the private sector. So citizens have a choice. Focus on infrastructure like roads and rail, which is being done now. It's a very good news. So government should focus on what it has to do as per our constitution. And people should do business, and government should regulate to make sure there's competition and the consumer is protected. That is their job, not run business.
Very true, sir. So now while you're talking about infrastructure, I think, supply chain management has been a sector that has, obviously benefited a lot from the GST regime, and then, the focus on infrastructure. And I think a lot of focus has gone on them in the last year. How do you see the outlook for that sector? What do you think needs to be done to scale it up?
Outlook is fantastic. Outlook is fantastic because look, our supply chain costs of 14% of GDP. China is, I think, 7%. US is 5%.
Right.
We must bring it down. Now, GST, bringing in the road network, railways going at 45 kilometers an hour as against 25 kilometers are going to bring the cost down because the costs are too high. Our trucks go 250, 300 kilometers a day. US trucks go at 650 kilometers a day. Just imagine if they go at 500, how many trucks will be saved? Right. And these damn trucks have 180 HP motors, which was built in Second World War. We need the different kind of high-powered trucks to go faster on the roads. And the roads should be 6-lane roads. Because in the 4-lane road, one truck will overtake another truck going at 35 kilometers. You've seen it in the highways, and they're all stuck. Now, this fast tag is really into matters because, about 10,000, 15,000 crores of cash was getting knocked off in all these toll gates. There's robbery happening. Absolutely. Banks are not getting the money. Now, imagine, it's gone to 105 crores a day. It was 80 crores, 90 crores, gone to 105 crores. So we got the money they were knocking off. There's so much of corruption in this country. That's why we need more electronic governance and we need the efficiency coming. If we reduce supply chain from 14% to 8%, which is possible in the next 2 years, we become more competitive. You can manufacture in Nagpur and sell in Mumbai at the same price and manufacturing in Shanghai and shipping it to Mumbai. We couldn't do it earlier because the costs were too high. So supply chain is very important. Our ports have to become efficient. They're becoming efficient. Our airports have to get bigger and much more efficient. The airline companies should stop losing money. I don't know why they lose money. Okay, they got a perishable seat. And then we also need our road speeds to go up, our roads to be safer, correct? And supply chain to improve. And look at the miserable life we have in our cities. Our roads are dirty, our roads are broken, water taps are broken, correct? Air is foul, water is foul. What kind of country is this?
Right.
You can't give clean water to people. You can't give clean air to people. I mean, what are you supposed to do? So these are all the things that government should do. So supply chain efficiencies are coming in. A lot of technology is coming in. Finally, they got ISRO to say that they're going to give data to Indian companies, which is very good. Why should depend on Google Maps?
Absolutely.
And all the Google data about our maps is the NSA in the US. The United States monitors all this. They know exactly where you are, where I am, what we are doing, because they got all the data from Google and Facebook. They've got access to it. It's our data. Our government should have access. Our government will save us. Our courts will save us. They protect us, not the US government. So I think good things are happening in this country.
Mhm.